El Plan is out the window.
The unluckiest man in Formula One strikes again. Fernando Alonso comes home on a podium position but ends the weekend down in fourth. Welcome back, guys, to Fog Racing. It is time for your Saudi Arabian Grand Prix recap, review, results. Look, this race wasn't very good. We're not going to sit here and pretend it was the most exciting thing ever. It wasn't. A safety car, in my opinion, kind of ruined the race. And then we thought the only spectacle we've got to look forward to is a battle for the lead between the Red Bulls, and then that battle, in fact, never even happened. So, yeah, with the added insult of Alonso being unfairly dropped from third to fourth, it's pretty disgraceful. We'll touch on it a little bit, and then we'll probably make a separate vid on it, to be honest. But yeah, let's talk about the start of the race.
Alonso's out of position by an inch, so he gets 5 seconds rammed up his arse.
But even then, he's to the left of the starting grid. He's if he's in front, then you can understand that because he's gaining an advantage in terms of length. But I mean, I think he should get away with this with like a warning or something. Do you know what I mean? He's like to the left of his grid box. It'd be different if he was in front of it, and then you are gaining distance advantage. But I thought it was harsh anyway. Alonso got off to a good start regardless. He put PEREZ under pressure, ended up getting past PEREZ in the next lap, but then PEREZ, after like another lap, managed to fight back, get in front, and Alonso kind of kept within PEREZ's 1 second DRS zone for about 5, 6, 7 laps, but then PEREZ finally managed to pull away. Behind them, you'd not much really happening. You had
You'd Verstappen and Leclerc making their way through the grid, but
not as quick as you'd expect, especially for Verstappen. I think we all expected him to be making a position every lap, and that wasn't really the case.
No,
there was even some of the midfield guys. He was like Guang Su and who's the other guy? The pronunciation that might be a wee bit off, but we had a battle, but it was like a three-way battle for the last podium position in the opening stint between Russell, Stroll and Sainz, and I mean it looked like Aston Martin had the fastest car because like Stroll was like all over the back of Russell, but I mean he couldn't really do anything in terms of make a move.
Stroll showed here why he's just not good enough.
It looked like the car was definitely fast enough to pass the Mercedes. It's just Stroll couldn't get the job done. And then we go into the first round of pit stops, and it's actually Lance Stroll who comes in first. It looked like we were going to get Carlos Sainz, but I guess Carlos Sainz backed out of it when he seen that Stroll decided to pit. Stroll comes in, Stroll put the hard tyres on, and the hard tyres just didn't really work. Lewis was complaining about them in the opening stint. Aston Martin stuck them on Stroll, and Stroll just, well, I said it didn't work. Everyone else put them on and they seemed to be okay, but for Stroll, he just went backwards, which was, underwhelming.
Again, but what I don't understand about this, right? Why did it take the FIA so long to give Alonso this other penalty? They literally only started.
Jesus Christ, we're talking about the race here, man. What are you on about?
No, I'm just thinking about it, right? How shite is it that they hoover a podium? It doesn't matter who it is. They hoover a podium off someone after the race instead of making the decision during the race. Because let's be real, a safety car was what, lap 19, 18?
Yeah, if they tell Alonso, look, you're going to get a 10-second penalty, I think Alonso could maybe do something about it.
I think Alonso would have been able to pull the gap. I do.
But yeah, he didn't even know about it. It wasn't until a couple of laps to go where Aston Martin told him there might be something going on there. But anyway, we're back after the original pit stop. Stroll comes out, loses positions.
Aye, he loses positions. He's shite. He loses 1.7 to Tsunoda over a lap, which, right, that could have been the problems that he eventually retires with in like 2 laps' time. But again, it probably wasn't. It's probably just Stroll. Lack of tyre heat, and he's binned it because it's just not good enough. He actually made Ferrari look like they did a good strategy for once, and it actually was going to be alright for Ferrari, but then Stroll pulls over and it benefits Russell, Hamilton, and
it benefited the guys that hadn't pitted yet, right? Both Alpines had pitted, both Ferraris had pitted. I don't really know why Sainz came in so early. Leclerc on the soft tyre, you can kind of understand that. Maybe he couldn't go as long as the others, but I don't really see why they brought in Sainz. Maybe they're trying to leapfrog Russell and Stroll. Maybe they didn't want to lose a position to Stroll, but in the end, it was the wrong decision because the safety car came out and that allowed basically Ferrari to get overtaken by Hamilton and by Max Verstappen. And after the safety car, you've got Leclerc, who was looking good coming through the grid. and he found himself in 7th, with Sainz in 6th.
And you actually thought at this point Ferrari might have been able to do something, but has to be one of the most lacklustre 30 laps after a safety car I've ever seen.
Well, I mean, you say you thought Ferrari could do something on the hard tyres, behind. I mean, they're behind Lewis on mediums. They're behind Verstappen.
Right.
Perez, Alonso.
Listen, Dick.
I mean,
I'm not expecting them to do anything against the Red Bulls, right, or even Hamilton. But do not be able to do anything against Russell or even keep up. They finished nowhere near. I mean, look, they finished 23 seconds behind Alonso at a track that we were specifically told that Ferrari, this would be one of their strongest tracks. Well, if this is going to be one of their strongest tracks, what are they going to do at other tracks?
Well, I'll tell you what, you said they could have done something. They had no chance of a podium, in my opinion, after that first stint. Could they have made up a place or two? I mean, potentially.
No chance of a podium. The safety, I know, yeah, they get shafted, but there's no reason why they couldn't be up there.
Well, I'll tell you why they had no chance of a podium, because they weren't going to beat the Red Bulls, and I thought Alonso was too good for them. Yeah, could you argue Ferrari could have fought back and maybe got one or both Mercs, maybe, but...
That's my point. I think the top three probably were out of reach, but again, Ferrari, when we can talk about Mercedes, redeveloping their car. What did Ferrari need to do?
Start again. I can't believe I actually predicted them to win the Constructors. I wish I could take that one back.
I mean, they'll get third, I think.
Not a lot happened, by the way, apart from this. We had Magnussen and Shinoda battling for the last point. That was pretty much it. Max made his way through past Russell and Alonso really quickly. I don't think either of them really tried to defend. I think they knew that there was way too long to go in the race. So, I mean, maybe if you've got Max behind you with 5 laps to go, then definitely. But when it's more than like half the race to go, there's literally no point, in my opinion, trying to defend from Max. So yeah, Max got into second, and then he just never really took the gap down. Perez, Max, the gap kind of stayed around the same distance. So, and
we spent about the last 20 laps with, I have a brake pedal issue, I have a transmission issue.
The only thing that exchanged between Perez and Verstappen was the fastest lap. They traded that a few times, but there was no positions being traded, no punches being traded, nothing being traded, and it really was pretty boring. Like I said, Magnussen got past Shinoda, and then the only other battle was down the back of the field between the McLarens and the Williams of Logan Sargent. And is that really what we want to see? Albon retired. He chose a really weird time as well to retire. Maybe could have brought out another safety car, but he managed to get it round to the pit stops. I mean, look, that's it. A couple laps to go, Alonso gets told that he might be getting a 5-second penalty, so he puts the foot down, he gets the gap over 5 seconds just to be shafted anyway, man. So, boring race, had a lot of promise. I actually thought until the safety car, until Stroll basically ruined it, I thought the race was looking really good.
I know.
Yeah, in front it looked like Perez was probably going to win easy, but it did look like Ferrari could have done something because Leclerc was going well. It would have been hard to have picked the order, in my opinion. Obviously, Verstappen was there, but we'd yet to see Verstappen really overtake, the cars that can kind of compete. So it would have been interesting to see how Verstappen would have got past the Mercs, how he would have got past, the Ferraris and whatever. But we didn't get to see that. We were robbed of that. And, disappointing.
Very disappointing race. I expected more. I think this is going to be one of the few times where you can actually have a potential Red Bull battle, because let's be real, if Verstappen's in front of Perez, I'm not really seeing Perez going to be catching him and battling him, right? But that's the reality.
Yeah, but let's be fair to Perez. I thought pace-wise he was pretty much as good as Max Verstappen today. Now, who knows, maybe they'll come out and say Verstappen had issues or this or that, but in terms of the race, I thought Perez looked just as good as Verstappen today. And I think Perez could have battled Verstappen and won this race on merit, even if that qualifying never happened yesterday, based on what we've seen in the race.
I think he could have too, but realistically, Red Bull would have did something just to favour Verstappen, and Perez would have been greeting. So, yeah, that is it for the race.
But we can't say that, this isn't a legit win for Perez, because Max was in second. Max had more than half the race to go, and the gap was only, 5.4? So,
it is a legit win, but my point is, I don't think we're going to get many Red Bull battles this season. I feel like this was a good opportunity for that. I feel like a lot of them will be like Bahrain, where Verstappen just takes off and we don't see him.
Yeah, well, that could
But
happen.
again, you could argue Perez took off and we didn't see him here battle anyone.
And again, what would have happened if that safety car, you could be looking at Perez maybe winning this with like a 20-second.
Exactly.
I tell you what, Perez had a pit stop over Max before the safety car, and Max still had to overtake all the cars in front of him. So let's say that safety car doesn't play it like that. What kind of gap does Perez have over Max at the end of the race? If you already had a pit stop that early on,
Very true.
and then you've got to take over the time it's going to cost Max to get past the other teams in front of him. So I don't know.
I'll give you that one. But as for the standings, there's a point between them at the top. Alonso, so this is actually wrong because Alonso's had 3 points took off him, and Mercedes have got 3 more. So Mercedes in the second in the L Constructors, while Alonso still remains in P3, but George Russell actually goes up to P4, and that is it.
I think Alonso, like, he'll still be reasonably happy. You know, he's got a good car this season. He knows there's going to be more podiums to come, but Jesus Christ, he must be gutted, like, because he's literally been robbed here.
I just feel like it was the cherry on top of a shite race. Like, yeah, Perez actually won, which is good for the championship, and Alonso getting my opinion, I know Aston Martin may look like the second fastest car, but you'd still rather see Alonso on the podium than Russell, Hamilton, Leclerc.
You would.
Especially at this stage of the season.
You would. But we're not going to go into detail over the Alonso thing because we'll make a separate vid on that. So make sure you stay tuned, stay subscribed, keep your eye out, and there'll be more content coming. We'll do driver ratings. And we're going to dive into a bit more in depth with this Alonso situation because I think it's one of the harshest penalties I've ever seen. Honestly, to give him 10 seconds out of this, I mean, what difference did that jack, let's say it did touch the car, what difference did that have in Alonso coming out? No difference. Alonso would have still come out in second place anyway. Absolute joke.
See, that's what I don't like about F1. There's so much like fine attention to detail stuff like that, but then there's other times where people punt people off the road and they get fuck off.
Yeah, so Alonso's getting a 10-second penalty for something they didn't even gain an advantage from.
What?
Yeah, there'll be times where someone will literally take someone out the race, right? And like, look at Hamilton taking Max out.
10 seconds.
And he goes on and wins the race because Max is out. But Alonso's getting 10 seconds because apparently the jack touched the car before the and you couldn't even see it. Because they said the mechanic's leg, they even says the mechanic's leg is in the way so you can't see it. So, what a joke. We'll talk about it more, guys, in a separate video. Stay tuned for that. Till next time, though. Peace.